Right here. Hi, it's Attain Musolini, the merchant of success. Welcome once again. So let's roll with attaining exceptional performance. Now, the framework I follow when teaching is clarity, where we look at what is the topic or what is the subject matter and why is it important. We look at the mindsets, which are crucial to make sure that you succeed in that particular subject. Then we look at the strategies required to make it. We look at the skill sets that you ultimately need to make sure that those strategies come to life. And finally, we look at mastery. What do you actually need to make sure that this happens, right? So let's kick off with clarity. When we talk about exceptional performance, what we really mean is that kind of performance that is over and above expectations. Meaning it's performance that delivers quality. And if I was to be given a superlative, I would say performance that delivers quality beyond measure. There are people who deliver quality beyond measure, all right? And here, when we say performance which is typically beyond the scope, which is for budget, we would say below budget, and ahead of time, and you achieve great results. So that's what over and above expectation is. Okay. I should also add quality, yeah, because we're talking about quality also. If I was to add one other thing, it's quality. Then why is this subject important? You see, here is the big picture. The big picture is that your current employment or job or opportunity is the biggest billboard you will ever have. Your performance is the message on that billboard. And when I say employment, like I mentioned, you could replace it with because I know some of us are not necessarily employed. We are self-employed or we have businesses. I am not employed either. I own a business. I do this on my own. And so for me, this is my billboard. So for whatever job you do, whatever work you do, that's your billboard. That's what I mean by billboard. If you're a student, whatever you're doing, that is your billboard, okay? And I would like also to propose to mention that indeed it's the biggest billboard. It's the hottest ticket that will ever take you wherever you want to go. And therefore you need to, because people are always watching. I always tell people that the world is always watching. Even when you think no one is watching, you just never know. Someone could be recording a video, all right? So just remember that your performance is your billboard. And the best reward to yourself is knowing that you're doing a great job. People usually ask me about motivation. And I always say, look, there's no better motivation than you going to sleep knowing that I did a great job. So no money, no words, because that's something that you feel at the core of your being, in your cells. So it's incredible. And I know sometimes I step up, and whether it's a class like this or it's a talk or something, and there are those moments where I'm like, yeah, I did it. There's no better feeling. And that kind of motivation is absolutely sustainable, right? Absolutely sustainable. If you have to always depend on someone else or something else, it's not as sustainable. But if you depend on you feeling that, wow, I did a fantastic job, then that same kind of motivation is absolutely sustainable, right? The other key thing to remember is that great performance escalates career growth much, much quicker. I've heard of stories and experiences where someone, enters an organization as an officer, entry-level job. Before you know it, they're into middle management and senior management, and some people are like, but he just came in yesterday, or she came in yesterday. Well, performance lifted her. I believe it's the Bible says that you see a man skilled in his craft will serve before kings. So if you're not only skilled, but if you deploy that skill in an exceptional manner, because not everyone who is skilled is exceptional in performance. There are those who are skilled, and yet they lack other attributes to deploy, to enhance, to accentuate their skill set, their abilities, I beg your pardon. So great performance is putting results on the table. Have you put results on the table, right? So that's key. And if you really want to grow super quick, deliver. Exceptional performance also gives your company and yourself a competitive edge. So if you're the kind that delivers, then ultimately you add on to the total package of the whole organization, into the total package of the company. And therefore that raises the profile, the brand, the equity of that organization. And guess what? It also gives you a competitive edge. And that's something you definitely desire or want, to make sure that you have a competitive edge for yourself and for the company. Very, very important. Well, I like how Justine is backing up the idea of the fact that when you're satisfied, it's the biggest motivator. And she says that she 100% agrees, and that you sleep smiling and you wake up the following day with even more energies. Yeah, because you're sending endorphins in the system. That's a good feel factor. Okay, so let's go. Now that we are done with clarity, now we need to look at the mindset. Here are the 4 essential mindsets that drive performance. The first mindset is the growth mindset. And here in this particular context, I'm not talking about the book by Carol Dweck, I believe. It's just focus on an area where you need to grow, learn, practice, and master that area. For example, you could be an accountant and you say, you know what, I'm going to learn accounting for non-accountants, or I'm going to do HR for non-HR managers, or I'm going to do finance for non-finance managers. There are those courses where you know, okay, I need to master this particular area for me to be complete as a manager or as a leader or as a performer in whichever aspect you may think about. It could be leadership, it could be project management, whatever that is, all right? So you know who you are. And if you remember last time the first course we were doing something around the SWOT, you should be knowing what your strengths and weaknesses are in alignment with your career, and then you find out what is that aspect you need to focus on. The other key is to ask yourself this particular question, and that is the final version mindset, because I noticed it was being blocked, the final version mindset. And the final version mindset is really about you making sure that whatever job you do, just imagine you are the final I, or you'll give it the final edit, so to speak. Just imagine no one is going to look at it for corrections. Give it your all as if it is the final version for submission. This concept, I came to this conclusion or this idea, having listened to some staff members of different organizations. You find there are those characters, when they are submitting a report, for example, they don't even do spell check. They don't do the basic things. Why? Because they know that their supervisor is going to give it a look anyway. That's a wrong mindset, my friend. So what if your supervisor doesn't anyway? And then number 2, if you're not doing your part, now you're giving your supervisor or manager extra work that they shouldn't be doing. So there's that mentality. There are those who have that mentality of my manager or supervisor is going to look through it anyway. Wrong. A friend of mine, who is our associate consultant, also Ambrose Chiuka, shared with me the story of Henry Kissinger when he was the Secretary of State in the USA. So there was this assistant of his, I don't know whether assistant or an executive. So he brought a certain report. And so when he brought the report, Henry Kissinger said, all right, please put it on the table, I read it. So the gentleman went out. And then he called the young man and said, and asked the young man, is that the best you could do? He said, sir, no, I could do better. Okay, take it, and then I'll look at it again. I'll just then look at it again. So the young man took the report back, came back after working on it. Henry Kissinger told him, you know what, leave it on my table, I'll look through it, and then call you back. So this gentleman, after a while, is called, and Kissinger asked, is that the best you could do? And the guy said, not really. He said, okay, please take it back and give me your best. So this guy goes, works on it, brings it, and Kissinger again asks him, is that the best you could do? After he had come back, he said, no. So, okay, take it back. So the final time he comes and says, goes through the same story. And then he asks him, is that the best you could do? So, yes, sir, that's the best I could do. Said, okay, now I will read it. I hope you got the flow of the story, okay? So all along, this guy was sending him back, but he never read the document. He only read it when the guy had confirmed that that's the best he could deliver. And that, my friend, is now, it means that by the time he said that, to him, that was ultimately like the final version. So when you're working, if you really want to step up and be an exceptional performer, you want to imagine that you're the last person, that's the final version being submitted to the highest office possible. Okay. The other mindset, which is very crucial for you to note, is this. Look beyond the JD. Look beyond your job description. Look beyond what is on paper. I always tell people that a job description is minimum expectation. And some people have this mentality of, you know what, that's not part of my JD. Wrong mindset. Because even a standard job, a standard contract will tell you something along the lines, and any other duties assigned. So meaning, if it's company related, if it's organization related, then it's part of what is expected of you. And people who have a great mindset are those who look beyond their job description. If anything, they are looking for more responsibilities. They are looking for more opportunities to engage, to experiment and showcase and demonstrate their abilities. Because then they know that it's from working from a place of discomfort that they grow. Here's the key that I would encourage you to write down. In your discomfort, that's where the ultimate growth is. In your discomfort, that's where the ultimate growth is. Because you see, the comfortable, it means that's it. That's that. What you're comfortable with is your history. What you're uncomfortable with, that is your possibility. That is where your potential is. So I'm inviting you to pay attention to this and to remember that amidst discomfort is where your ultimate growth is, my friend. And that means going beyond the job description, going beyond what the company is asking you to do. And as such, we need to pay attention to all these incredible opportunities that come our way. And we say, you know what? I'm choosing to go forward regardless of what's happening. The other mindset is the long-term mindset, meaning you have to be in it for the long haul. And that also means you have to grow whoever you're associated with. If you have someone, if you have a colleague you're working with, work with them, enable them to grow. And part of your job is to help the organization to take another step. You see, sometimes people say, but that's not my company. In fact, some people will look at someone else coming in, working hard with a lot of gusto, and they're like, but is that your daddy's company? Is that your mom's company? And I'm here to propose to you that, you know what, it doesn't really matter. There's also something very satisfying to look back in your history and say, I was part of that success story. I contributed to that success story. Because you do not want to be part of a failing story. You want to be part of a successful story. And that means one of the marks of exceptional performers are those who choose to grow not only as individuals, but to grow their colleagues, to share what they have, whether it's a mindset or a skill set or a strategy or a way of thinking. That abundant mindset of if I help my colleague to grow, I'm also growing. But also when you help your colleagues to grow, they will also help you to grow. When you help the organization to grow, the organization will help you to grow. It's a cycle. When you hear you reap what you sow, that's part of the game. And when we say sowing, you're sowing with a long-term mindset, not eating. It's sowing, not eating. There are people who are just focused on what they can eat now. Look at what you can reap tomorrow based on what you are sowing today. Based on and what you're sowing is your mindset, your attitude, your actions, your behaviors, whom you're growing, whom you're mentoring, the kind of moves you're making in the organization. The fifth mindset is the ownership mindset. And the ownership mindset, you have to think, what if the whole organization belonged to you? What if you were the CEO? Is that how you would speak? Is that how you would write? Is that how you would behave? Is that what you would do? Because if the answer is no, then it means you're below the threshold of an exceptional performer. Exceptional performers think as if they own the entity. And what I usually advise people, because I know most of us here are employed somewhere, is this, that look, because any entity typically pays you from its profits, it means in a way, whether you want to accept it or not, in a way you are a shareholder. Shareholders are paid after all the expenses and then the profits remaining. They are paid a portion of those profits. So if you're paid before someone else, then who is more important? I'm here to propose to you that at the core, you're extremely important. Without you, the entity would not stand. Therefore, in a way, you co-own. It may not show on paper that you're a co-owner. It may not show that you're a director. It may not show that you're a shareholder. But in essence, in practical terms, you're paid off the share of the profits from the entity. You're paid off a share of profits from the revenue. That's what a shareholder is. A shareholder gets a portion is you share in the proceeds of that organization. Therefore, if we are to just look at the practical way of defining who a shareholder is, in a way, you're a shareholder in quotes, of course, not on paper, but in quotes. Therefore, it is in your best interest to think like the owner, to have a CEO mindset. And once you have that, then your way of thinking, your way of behaving, the way you walk, the way you dress, the way you speak, the way you go about your business changes. Kabgo, who I've worked with for over 10 years now at Success Africa, about 5 years ago, came to me. I've been doing these kinds of products, like version 1.0 of these products. And he had the rights and the mandate after me trusting him over the years. I would just ask him, okay, how much do these products cost to produce? He would tell me the amount. I would just give him the money and he goes, and I would never check his back because I trust the people I work with. So one time he comes to me and I didn't know where he was doing this work from or who that was, and don't even have their contact, nothing, zero, nada. So tell me it costs this much and that's it. So one time he says, you know what, Ethan? I said, what's up? He said, I've discovered a place where we can actually save more than 50% of what we were spending. I was like, wow. It's like, thank you. So this is someone who had the option to take the money and pocket the 50%. And I wouldn't have known. But you know what? He had the ownership mindset. And that's one of the reasons I've been with him for over 10 years. Where is your mindset? Let's talk about the strategies. The 5-step strategy to being a high performer. Number one is you need to align your skills, talents, and abilities to the work that you're doing. The question is, are they sufficient? Is there something more to learn? Because I'll give you an example. Like for me, those who have been very close to me know, and I've shared this before with some of the mastermind members by saying, look, personally, I know I need to learn and master project management skills, okay? So that's not my area of strength, and yet I know it's very useful. So so you need to be very candid with yourself to ask yourself, for the work that I do, where do I need to strengthen my muscle? I know I'm excellent with writing, copywriting and all that, and marketing, and yet I also know I still have to grow, okay? I still have to grow because I know that's very, very crucial in my space to learn and master. So you have to be candid and honest with yourself around your skills and abilities. Next is you need to get clarity on your core deliverables in different periods. What do you need to deliver on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis? Because unless you have that clarity, then you want to know whether you're spot on or off. And one of the ways you could do this is go to your manager or supervisor and ask, what are my core deliverables? Now, those deliverables could be very clear on paper and everything is plain and clear. If that's the case, then fantastic. If it's not, then you could go have a meeting with your manager or supervisor and say, okay, what are my core deliverables? And by the way, even if they are clear, usually you find that your manager or the CEO, your supervisor, whoever it is, you could be having, say, 10 things that you're supposed to do on deliverables. And of those 10, 3 to 4 marks are the most crucial. So either way, you need to find out what are the biggest levers, what are the biggest pillars that you have to focus on, and your manager should know, and your job is to just ask. So I say, I'm curious, of these 10 things, which ones should I put my most emphasis on? for you to feel like I'm delivering the most. Then when you do that, then it will make it much easier as to where you should throw your weight. Okay. Number 3 is plan for your work. High performers are planners. What tools do you need? What do you need to learn? Who do you need to work with? What other resources at your disposal? When will you do what? Now, when I told you project management, I believe that's one of my core areas to work on, planning. I'm just being very honest with you, because I know I'm sure you would be comfortable to know that I'm not perfect either. I'm not a perfect human being. I'm proud of what I've achieved and done, just that I know I still have a lot to learn and a lot to grow. And one of those is around things to do with project management and planning and all that stuff. I'm actually in the process of, creating an ad and looking for a super assistant, and that should be one of the strengths they have. And talking about which, if you have a business or you are capable of hiring other people or other team members, one of the ways to create high performance in your life is to look for hire people who complement you, not necessarily hiring people who are exactly like you. Because if you hire people who are exactly strong in the areas you're strong at, and they're also weak in the areas you're weak at, then that becomes a challenge. So for me, if for my as executive assistant to be, one of the qualities they must have is project management skills or stuff related to planning and being, meticulous and all that kind of stuff. Because that's not my core strength. I'm more into big vision or communicating, being in front of you. Back end stuff is not my strength. And so this is a side note for some of us who lead teams or who have businesses. I know we have some of us here. Look for people who will complement you or who are very strong in the areas you're weak at. Then that will lift your performance also. But when we say planning, when you look at people having interacted with those high performers, they really plan their work. And when you're planning also, it's not just about you writing it down. It's also being clear about the tools that you need. Do you need a laptop? Do you need a pen? Do you need a notebook? Because you may have the ability, but if you're short on tools, that will hold you back. The learning, I had talked about that. So who do you need to work with? Right now, like I told you, I'm clear about the kind of assistant I really want to work with. That advert hopefully will be coming out in a month or so. And also you need to be aware of the resources around you and knowing when you do what. So you need to do an audit. What resources do you have? And by the way, the biggest resource you have is your resourcefulness. The capacity to think creatively, the capacity to see things where other people are not seeing. That resourcefulness is the most powerful because it's infinite. Resourcefulness is infinite, but resources are finite. So one of the things you need to work on, and Tim, you can remind me in future, we need to work on something on creativity and innovation. So that's the key. Number 4, do it like your life depends on it. No shortcuts. Work smart, work hard. So when I'm speaking to you right now, I want to speak like my life depends on it, because I may never get another chance to communicate to you, to speak to you. So this is it. This is the moment. Talking about this is it, I remember I watched I used to like Michael Jackson, believe it or not, and I watched the movie This Is It with my wife a couple of years ago, and I like the title. This is it. This is it. So when he was practicing like he was live. Literally, did he know that was going to be his last? And guess what? That's what we watched. So where you are at, work like this is it, because that may be your moment. That could be the only time you have an opportunity to work at that workplace. That may be the only opportunity that someone gets to see you in action and actually recommend you. So you don't hold anything back. You give your all, and I believe then the world gives you your all. And some people say, I don't work hard, I work smart. I believe you need both. There are moments where you just need to work smart, and there are moments where you need to work hard, and that's it. So you need to combine both. Why does it have to be one way? It can be both. There are people who work hard and not smart. Now, just imagine if they mixed their working hard with smartness. Then their productivity would explode. And there are people who work smart but not hard. Now, imagine if they worked hard, meaning instead of working for 4 hours, they worked for 8 hours. Boom, they have doubled their productive smartness. The other key is seek for feedback, evaluate, and improve. Keep growing. I'm always open to feedback. And by the way, even as I'm doing for us who are attending live, if you notice something, even if it's a record, please, instead of going out there and saying things which may not be palatable, just send me an email, talk to me, call me, all right? Give me feedback so that I can get better. With my team, we keep reviewing. Okay, good. What did we do well? What do we need to do differently for these sessions we've been doing? Because through feedback, then you're able to find your blind spots. And if you can clean up your blind spots, then you can only get better. I'm reminded of the analogy of Michelangelo's art in Italy, the Davidic structure. So in that he didn't just do the Davidic image. There was a piece of marble there, and that what he did was to just keep chipping away what was not necessary, and the Davidic image emerged. As one put it, that they had to let David free and to come out. And I'm here to propose to you that what is holding you back are those things you need to chip away. Those weaknesses, those mindsets, the way you speak, the way you talk, the way you work. If those can be chipped away,
it's more nice bean. So
my encouragement to you, my friend, is to keep making note of the feedback and then to go forth and respond accordingly.
Well done on the cake. When are we making? When are we cutting?
Make it happen. So the thing is, you just have to keep in that state of growing. That's why this is version 2.0. I have version 1.0, and I received great feedback about it. And guess what? There's always room to be better. And I believe this is even better. I believe that version 2.0 is even better. So that's the key. You keep evaluating and improving. You evaluate, you improve. You evaluate, you improve. It never ends. It's a never-ending journey. It's a never-ending opportunity. That's why I like the principle of Kaizen, constant and never-ending improvement. That should be part of your mantra in all aspects of your life. You never sit on your laurels that you've arrived. No, you arrive, take some sip, take a bit of rest, ask, okay, what's next? Boom, you continue moving. All right? Cool. Mr. O says having a checklist is a good planning tool for your project. It helps you plan your resources accordingly, and time is our stock in trade when doing any project. I like that. Time is our stock in trade when doing any project. But you know what? Time is our stock in the trade of life, in the trade of work. I like that analogy. Time is the gift that God has given us. So how do we use that? Thank you. Skill sets. This is now what I call Attain Musolini's Exceptional Performance Network. This is how it goes. This is how this network goes. Number one, so there are 3 levels to this network. And the first level is the definition of success. You need to be clear, how does success look like? So you need that clarity. Because if you don't know how success looks like, then how will you measure whether you are exceptional or not exceptional? Number 2 is you need clarity of tasks. This is one of the mistakes I made when I was starting out in business. Again, this is the danger of not having mentors, the right mentors and all that in business at the start. I would hire people and they wouldn't have clear tasks. And so I cannot blame them for not being exceptional performers when I was starting out especially. So not only if you're the one hiring or the team leader, you need people to be very clear of their tasks, but also for you, you need clarity of tasks. So you need that clarity. That clarity is power. And then not only do you need that clarity, but you also need the right skill. You may know what success looks like. You may have clarity over what the task is. The question is, do you have the right skill? Because if you don't have the right skill, then it doesn't matter. I mean, you may see the goal post there. You may know that the ball is here. But if you do not have the skill to shoot that ball, to go through the, to go through the net or to go in between the posts, you will not succeed. So not only do you need to know that the success is scoring and the clarity of task is hitting the ball with accuracy and precision, but you must also have the skill to actually hit that ball. And then the other key block to that network is having the right attitude. For example, if you're going to hit that ball, but you're telling yourself, no, I know I can't score. No, I know I don't have that ability. No, I think the goalkeeper, I cannot surpass the goalkeeper. No, will I really be able to do it? And you have that negative self-talk as an example, then that negative attitude will stop you. So meaning you may know the success, you may have clarity of task, you may have the right skill, but with the wrong attitude, you're out. You are out. So you need that as the core base. Now, if you have this core base in order, then this is what's going to happen. Then you'll find that you can plan better. Okay. Or meaning you will need, the next level is once you have all that, once you have that core base, right, then you need to plan. Not only do you need to plan, but you need skill alignment. Say, okay, this skill, I can apply it here. Say, if it is scoring, yeah, I can. If it's writing that proposal for funding, yes, that skill I learned about proposal development, yes, I can apply that skill here. But remember, you also planned, and now you're aligning the skill. And the next key that is crucial is teamwork, because it's true that no man is an island. For us to perform at our very best, we need a team. I can't do all this. You see me presenting. No, I have to do it with a team. I have a team supporting me. So if you're not able to rally and align people to your cause, then you will not deliver. So you need to also make sure that besides all this, that you have the right team. Call it the dream team. Who is your dream team? Who are your team members? I know, for example, I was giving you an example earlier that that Goretti is an exceptional woman, and so is Justin. And guess what? They work as a team also. They work in the same college, and yet they are friends, and so they support one another. And I I know that they have contributed to each other's growth. They work as a team. So if you really want to progress, you have to think at that level also of teamwork. The other key which I have very passionate about, of course, is continuous learning. One of the lines I like reminding people about, there's this other business partner of Warren Buffett, I will remember the name, and he said that, you should sleep with less ignorance than you had the previous day. What he was really meaning is for you to always learn something. I'll tell you something here. I have so many weaknesses in my life, and yet I'll tell you one core strength I really celebrate is learning. Every day I learn something, and sometimes a lot for hours. So you have to be in that space of continuous learning. And then communication. You need to also make sure that you're communicating, you are learning the art of communication, because all these things are not going to be realized if you cannot communicate what's in your head and heart. What's in your head and heart has to be communicated with clarity. And that's one of the reasons I have that mastermind of executive communication mastermind, which is purely focused on how do you communicate as a leader to make sure that things are clear. And that's for really C-level executives. And for me, one of the core skills you really have to invest in learning is communication. It's priceless. The other key, of course, is professionalism. There are people who, it's amazing. There are people, when I open this class for us who are attending live, people, when I open the room, I notice there are people who come in like 10 minutes before time. They're like, what? I'm like, wow. So meaning, if I just steered and said, it's okay, being 5 minutes late, it's okay, I can open the room 5 minutes late, then those people won't appear, then you wouldn't be here. So professionalism, things like keeping time, being excellent in your work, and all these things. And again, I'm not talking about perfection. I'm not sure about, I'm yet to meet someone who is pure perfection in everything. But all I'm saying is professionalism means you're aiming for excellence and you're always going for the best version of yourself every passing day. And then, of course, willpower. There are those things. One of the values at Success Africa is grit, meaning you don't give up, you keep going. I do not believe in giving up if the cause and the path is right. Please notice that there is a difference between not giving up and also, stupid, I shouldn't call it stupid, but foolish or unfounded stickiness or determination. What I mean by that is, if you're focusing on something and you discover that you're on the wrong path, hey, moving on or that's not giving up. No, you're changing direction. You change direction. Don't just say, but I'm already in this thing, I've already read it. No, it is wrong. And there are those moments where I found myself, I'm on the wrong path. So if you're on the wrong path, it's okay to change direction. What I do not believe in is if you're on the right path and then you give up. I don't believe in that. 2011, Success Africa, our bills were this big, the income was this small. Some of my partners said, you know what, we better close. That's the most logical thing to do. I said, you know what, guys? This is my calling. You guys have jobs. This is not even a job, it's a calling. I'll figure it out. I'm not going to give up. I never gave up. And if I had given up, I wouldn't be speaking to you right now. That's willpower. And part of that game is you knowing your purpose. That's why we had a program on purpose. Are you on purpose? I will tell you that once you know what your purpose is, the willpower is automatic. I didn't need to go and pray and seek for what and do. No, it is part of my purpose. So giving up is unimaginable. No way. See, there are things that make sense at a logical level, which do not make sense at a spiritual level. Purpose is a spiritual definition. And with the spiritual clarity, when you have that spiritual clarity and you're on the right path, the willpower will come automatically. You will not give up. So one of my prayers for you is that you find out what that path is. Then the willpower will automatically come. And this is what I know. It may sound like cliche, but I know it to be true. That if God has given you the vision, the provision will come. And the other thing I like saying is God's delays are not his denials. Hey! Yes! Yes! If God has given it to you, God will provide for you. And just because the provision hasn't come doesn't mean it will never come. It is on its way. But the question is, as it's coming on its way, will you be in the game? Will you be in the game? Next, self-motivation. You ought to motivate yourself. You have to find one of the best ways to motivate yourself, and I know there is another program we'll be doing about that, but one of the quickest ways I know is to remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing. What are the reasons behind you doing what you're doing? Then that will motivate you, and then list as many reasons as possible. Now, if you have all these that I've shown you, the two floors, then it automatically leads you to the top floor, whereby you'll create a great experience, you'll exceed expectations, you'll create a legacy, and you have repeat customers. Or in this case, you will have repeat employers who want to engage you over and over again. So if you do this, then you're sure that this is a network that is guaranteed to keep you pushing over and over again, okay? Because when you do that, when you do this, what I've just shown you, and you build all these 3 floors, then that's what ultimately, oops, I thought I had shared this. When you do all this, I thought I had shared, just give me a moment. So when you do all these levels, then ultimately, that's where exceptional performance is. That's the ultimate definition. You have all these in your package, then you might as well write the word exceptional performance around you. All right? Yes! Come on, exceptional performers, where are you? With the mastery, so the key thing is to use a step-by-step approach, and you apply the framework provided in the workplace scenario. So meaning you look at your workplace and you ask yourself, okay, how can I apply this? Then you apply it accordingly. Then you will definitely start seeing results, okay? So what I want you to reflect upon is this. You can pause this if you're watching the recording. That is, what did you find most useful in this presentation, and how are you going to implement the lessons moving forward in your life, career, and business, all right?